Just let it go. There's a heist in the making, but who's keeping score? A live service dream they built before. A treasure worth stealing, but hearts are so cold. They're digging for gold in a market that's old. Fair games, it'll change the world, but we've heard it before. It's all been unfurled, from Concord's collapse to the squad disgrace. Another live service, another rat race. So just let it go. Don't build this high. A castle of servers crumbles with time, stealing from the rich. Oh, what a thrill to give to the richer and foot the bill. Once we played heroes with tales to unfold. Now it's battle passes and skins to be sold. We don't need no lobbies or daily quests. Just give us a game that lets us rest. The Justice League's dead before it took flight. Fair Games feels like it's chasing that plight. We'll always remember your golden days when storytelling shone in the PlayStation race. So just let it go. Don't build this high. A castle of servers crumbles with time, stealing from the rich. Oh, what a thrill to give to the richer and foot the bill. Oh no, oh no. Dum-de-dum, oh what a shame, oh what a shame. Scap-de-doo, burning through, yeah, 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 yeah. God of War and The Last of Us, wasted money and work, no trust. Burning billions and blaming the boys. Herman don't care, he'll just go back to Alloy. Fair games, it's just not your day. Leave live service to those who've lost their way. Sony, we're begging, just let it go. The world's had enough of this shallow show. Just let it go. Don't build this high. A castle of dreams should reach the sky, stealing from the rich. Oh, what a thrill to give to the richer and foot the bill.
That's most definitely what's up.
So you wanna make a Lego game using some big property.
I'm vibing!
But you already did Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Lord of the Rings.
16
Well, I think there's
times the
still
detail.
one option that you've yet to explore. It's the series about a girl and her robotic dinosaurs.
Kick me outside,
Now I
how about
know
that?
what you're all thinking. Hey, isn't this a bit of a stretch? Horizon's fan base has been shrinking. It might be pretty, but there's always a catch. I've only met one person in my whole damn life who had an insatiable Horizon appetite. Everybody else doesn't care that much, but Herman Hulse doesn't really give a fuck. So here you go, world, it's Horizon again. If you got money, it's time to spend. It's got multiplayer, find a friend. Ooh, open up your mouth, girl, let me pour some Horizon in. It's sweet like honey, so give us all your money. Oh wait, oh fuck, no one's buying the game. I thought Horizon was as cool as Star Wars. I guess it turns out it's just kinda lame. Ooh, holy crap, oh no, why doesn't anybody care? Horizon is just as cool as all those other Lego games. Even though makes it seem like it's irrelevant. Lego Horizon flopped. I'm not sure why they bothered trying. All of its fans must have been lying. Lego Horizon flopped. Horizon. Guess Sony is gonna have to try again. Skeep-a-doop-bop-boop, beep-a-deep-a-doo-da, robo-dino skip-bop, skip-bop, beep-a-deep-a-deep-a-boo-bop, going till the doo-da, beep-bop-a-noo-ta. Horizon should never had a Lego game. Whoever greenlit that must have been fucking insane. Lego Horizon flopped. I'm not sure why they bothered trying. All of its fans must have been lying. Lego Horizon flopped. Horizon. Guess Sony is gonna have to try again. Sorry Herman host. Guess he didn't make a new Star Wars after all. Sorry Herman host. Just another day of ya dropping the ball.
Good day, everyone. Welcome. Lego Horizon did flop. And funnily enough, they just announced that they're going to be shifting and focusing all of their developmental efforts in-house. So they're trying to undo the problems of Lego Horizon and now focus and just do it. Focused on in-house stuff, which I think is probably for the best. I mean, let's be honest. Fat Walrus. Love the name. You checked out Rise of the Ronin since it came out on PC a few days ago. I've not personally booted it up or anything. I saw the response has not been great. Because it seems like it still runs like crap. If any of you guys in chat have played it on PC, let me know. I'm honestly interested. I want to know what your experience has been like. Because last I really looked at Rise of the Ronin was like, you remember Joe Raptor's posts about it? Joe Raptor reviewed it back March of last year. And I mean, he cooked it, man. Because it did run like crap. I mean, it was like sub PS3 levels of like polish. Graphically, it was really lackluster. And he also had a lot of problems with gameplay design and stuff. But specifically, the performance was like laughably horrible. You can see like entire shadows disappearing. So like just randomly. I think what it is the object was cold once he walked past a certain point. So all the objects that were casting shadows behind the camera were basically taken out of the scene to save like computational power. But when it did that, it also got rid of the shadows because they weren't in the scene anymore, which is like game design 101 to avoid this problem. And so like one of the little tutorials I did for Unreal Engine literally like the series was called Unreal Engine 101. And this wasn't in Unreal Engine, of course, but like the point is it's for beginners and they still had these problems. So this is the last time I saw the game. Was it running horribly? The horse looks like it just, what's the old lyric from that Eminem song back in the day? Or was it Eminem? No, it was Epic Rap Battles of History. Almost the same. When they're like, when they were like, looks like you rode a bicycle race with no seat. That's what this looks like. Yeah. That horse looks like he rode a bicycle race with no seat. Poor horse. It's running all stupid. So that's the last time I saw it. And then since then I've seen that people are not super thrilled with the PC port that just dropped. So these are like little snippets from the reviews. The game, or from the subreddit, it looks like. The game looks like early PS4 graphics, and the fact that the game performance is insanely bad is unacceptable. Combat's good, performance is bad. In the same place, I can have 70 FPS, then it quickly drops to around 30 for no reason. Graphics good at best, but it sometimes looks like a PS4 game. I don't understand why it's so demanding. It's basically because it's a team that never did an open world game before, and their tools and the engine was just not made for it. So it's struggling. My PC goes above the recommended hardware and then some, yet no matter what is done, it just looks like a blurry sub 40 FPS crap, no matter the upscaling, frame gen, external GPU software settings. Even running it low/medium at lesser resolution causes issues. Game is really fun so far, performance is terrible. It ran just fine for the prologue, but as soon as you get to the open world, performance falls off a cliff. Stuttering, choppiness, even if you lower the settings. So it seems like they didn't really fix the problems, at least for a lot of people. But if you guys have tried it, let me know. If you've tried it, let me know. Also, from what I've seen, it looked better on PS5, which is crazy. It does, but if you locked it at 60 instead of 120, it runs fine. Okay. Or at least the drops aren't as noticeable. Because if it's at 60 dropping to 40, that's less noticeable than 120 dropping to 40, you know? But this is the second game from this team that has PC issues. I had fun with it on PlayStation. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the standards have dropped for them, or for PlayStation published stuff. Because wasn't this PlayStation published, or am I just making that up? Let me see. Was it like Capcom or something? No, it's Koei Tecmo. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not PlayStation. I guess it was just a really visible PlayStation release initially. But it's Koei Tecmo on PC. Koei, I guess, technically. But it's just too bad. It's too bad. Yeah, terrible port. If you can ignore it, well, you still will enjoy the game. Another game with poor optimization. This game clearly shows that the devs could care less about the PC market. The game is a whopping 150 gigabytes for a game that looks like a PS2 game on Ultra and runs like diarrhea. Oh God, you're gonna kill me. Oh. Okay, that's funny. It runs like diarrhea. There you go. So says Repo Wolf. That's awesome. I can't cough or laugh too hard or it makes me hiccup. Something's wrong with me. Oh. Do you guys get that? Like if you work out a lot and like you do a lot of cardio, if you cough, it makes you hiccup. That's what it does for me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Something's wrong with my body. I don't know. Steam reviews are awesome, man. Yeah, dude. Some of them are preem. Golden. I love it. Yo, does the AC Shadows Mac release pre-order come with the pre-order perks? I think so. I don't know why it wouldn't. Acid reflux? Maybe. Well, it's specific. I think it's like a diaphragm thing. Like you work out a lot because we had our gym class this morning. So, and it's specifically like if I get a little wheezy, like a little bit wheezy in my lungs, if I cough, it makes me hiccup. I don't know. I need like a scientist or a doctor. Asthma? Yeah, I do have asthma. I don't know if that's a regular thing for asthma though. It's an air bubble. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Bro, are you ever going to talk about Atomfall? I know, right? Dude, I've had these tabs open for like a week and a half. You can check back previous streams. I've had these open. We just never get around to it, which is amazing. But I think okay, I should be clear. I hope we can get to it today because I'm going with my brothers somewhere tonight. And so I'm on a little bit of a tight turnaround, but it should be good. Accept. Okay. Whew. Asthma gold. Careful, I'm gonna do it again. That's pretty good. That's pretty funny. Asthma gold. Oh, I found my place in the industry. Oh man, that's funny. That's what happens to me when I drink carbonated beverages too fast. Yeah, so maybe it's just, I don't know. I could pretend to know what it is, but something's just wrong with me. Let's see. Oh yeah, they announced they're working on Space Marine 3. That's awesome. I mean, it's kind of like a no duh. Like Space Marine 2 was a huge success for them, and I'm sure they like were getting phone calls like crazy from Games Workshop to greenlight another one. So like Space Marine 2 is kind of AA budget. There's a strong possibility that this next one is like full AAA budget, which I'm not going to complain about, frankly. At least it didn't take 13 years this time. Yeah. Well, we'll see how long it takes them to make it. I guess we should we should clarify with that. But we'll get there. Yeah. Real quick, let's just get it out of the way because otherwise people are going to be asking in chat about it, and I'd rather just be able to say we did it. Okay. And then we can talk about Atomfall and that stuff, and then we'll circle back to Ubisoft, and yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Just because everybody's going to be asking about it. Okay, we'll just get it out of the way. New segment. You ready? I'm ready. So what is a game we've talked a lot about that you guys are like desperate to not talk about anymore? That I'm going to talk about it anyways, because that's just what we do. Can you think of what it possibly could be? How about good old Starfield, bruh? How about good old Starfield, bruh? Yeah. Yeah. PlayStation logos have started popping up on Creation Club assets, which is like a little weird because it's like, it's not on PlayStation. Why are PlayStation logos popping up on them? But let's see if we can find the clear example. Let's see. They say the Starfield mod in question with PlayStation logo is work in progress ship decals and has been created by Valley's Edge. At the time of writing, the PlayStation logo is still visible on the mod's page and on Starfield's official Creation Club workshop website or whatever. This link no longer works. Content not found. Oh. They stripped it off. So people are losing their minds over this, being like, oh my God, it's coming next week. They're going to bring Starfield to PC, whatever. Let's be perfectly honest. Okay. This almost certainly is just a modder that put a logo in like the description box of their mod. Didn't think much of it because they're like, yeah, it's going to come eventually. And yeah, we'll call it good. We'll call it good. This was not an official mod, okay? It was created by Valley's Edge, a different modder. So it's not like this is officially Bethesda coming up and putting the logo on the game's box or anything. Like, that's not what's happening here. And they just seemingly removed it from the website entirely, probably in response to all of this. Now, does that mean that Starfield's not coming to PlayStation? No, like almost certainly it is coming. You can see we have yet to hear anything official about PlayStation 5 support. All we have heard is that Phil Spencer stating earlier this year that no Xbox game stays on the platform. Or I think what he specifically said was like, no Xbox game gets a red line. In other words, like there is no game that is immune from porting. Not Halo, not Gears, not Starfield, not Elder Scrolls 6. Like any game could be ported. It doesn't mean that every game will be ported. It means any game could be ported. And Bethesda's also like recently said they have a lot of exciting plans for the game this year, and they're working on stuff. And there's been leaks and rumors and speculation and everything you could think of suggesting that Starfield will come to PlayStation. My feeling is I think there is money on the table because I do think there are Bethesda fans that exist on PlayStation that didn't play Starfield. I don't think it like magically sells another 5 million copies, frankly. I'd be very surprised if that was the case. But you know what? Ports are, compared to releasing a whole new game, very, very cheap to do. Even if you do 500,000 units, that's still millions upon millions of dollars. Like, why would you leave that on the table? Like, of course you're going to get that. And that's kind of where Xbox has been. So I wouldn't be surprised if they port it. I wouldn't be surprised if they port it as part of their next expansion. They do like an Ultimate Complete Edition, and it has both expansions all at the same time, and you can buy it on PlayStation for $70. Very generous of them. That's kind of what I'm expecting. So I understand people are looking to this and like trying to conclude, oh, this is basically confirmation. It's coming to PlayStation. It appears that it's like a logo on a mod. As you can see, Cammy posted this. Rumors, Starfield mods are beginning to show with the PlayStation logo. I don't know how their website works. I don't know if this is like a toggle that Bethesda added or if this is something they can add. But like almost certainly we know that it is coming to PlayStation. It's just a matter of time. But, you know, the fact that this still gets traction and these tweets still end up with like, you know, articles written about them, it does show something interesting, which is that there is interest, maybe is the word, in Starfield. People still like talking about it. What I've said recently, though, I think I mentioned it in my critique of Starfield, is that I think Starfield is kind of, and Bethesda in general, they've kind of become a lol cow in a weird way of gaming. There are people that genuinely like their stuff, that genuinely like what they put out, but a lot of people just like talking about it. You know, they're not playing Starfield, but they like to watch videos of people talking about why Starfield's bad. You know, and it's very interesting. It's very weird, but it's like a similar thing that we saw with Concord, that we saw with like Suicide Squad, the Gollum game before that, Forspoken. There are certain games that people just latch onto, and videos on them will do well. Because it's that like people like talking about it and like seeing it broken down. And I think part of it is, you know, people love to unite around something, whether that's a love for something like Baldur's Gate or a hatred for something else like Concord. But I do think that there's another piece of it, which is that certain games become kind of symbols for certain topics in the industry. So certain games might be a symbol for live service greed, which is Concord. Other games might be a symbol of wasted potential, which is Suicide Squad, with Rocksteady, an amazing studio, being forced to do this, or not forced, they wanted to, but you get what I mean. Like, they had all this amazing talent and they squandered it. And I think that maybe, you know, this could fall into that same category where Starfield represents something to people that they want to unify against. What that is, I'm not sure. I don't think there's a clean answer for Starfield. More than anything, though, I think it's that people played Starfield and it just didn't give them the same feeling they got from previous BGS games. And so they wanted like some way of expressing or understanding how they felt about it. Because, you know, when you play a game and you're like, it just feels off. There's just something weird about it. Like I'm having trouble putting into words how I feel about this game because I like parts of it. I hate other parts of it. And I'm having trouble figuring out how to sort through my thoughts. And I think Starfield was one of those games that people played and then started looking for explanations that matched their own because they weren't really sure how to phrase their feelings about it. Because it was kind of a weird game. I mean, it was a hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff. And, you know, it was kind of a mixed bag, literally. So I think that there's a bit of that where we think back to the old days of Bethesda, like, you know, Skyrim and that kind of being the golden age. And people think back to that and they're like, Starfield didn't make me feel that way. Why? And so they start looking for content that kind of puts into words why it didn't and explains to them what that feeling is. That's at least what I've seen in the videos I've done about Starfield, is that I see a vast number of people that do like Bethesda games, but don't like Starfield because it doesn't feel like a Bethesda game. You know, they wanted it to be X, but it's Y, Z, ampersand. Like, it's all sorts of weird things they didn't want it to be, which some people connect with, certainly, but a lot of people didn't. And then they look for videos to kind of explain that. But either way, I find it fascinating that you can still have an article going on 2 years after the game's launch. The game is not like still driving a ton of players or viewership on Twitch, certainly. Like, it's not like it's a massive phenomenon still, but you still see people talking about it all the time. And the fact that you've, like, if you're watching this stream clip, the fact you've clicked on it shows that there still is some interest in the discourse surrounding it, even if you're not playing the game yourself, which odds are mathematically, the odds are that you're not playing it because there's not that many people playing it. So I think it shows people still care about Bethesda. People still deep down want them to nail Elder Scrolls 6, for example. They really want to see them return to form, but they just haven't quite gotten there. You know, they just haven't quite gotten there. And the hope is by holding their feet to the fire, they actually figure it out. You know, maybe, you know, the success on PlayStation, if it sells really well over there, maybe that gives them a little extra kick in the pants. Maybe this could explain why it's taken them so long to put out expansions and DLC and stuff, because it has taken them demonstrably way longer to do stuff, like 4 times as long compared to even Fallout 4. So, you know, despite being a company like twice the size. So maybe this port is more complicated than they initially thought. I don't know, but it almost certainly is coming to PlayStation. The website seems to signal that they've at least done back-end coding to put a badge on certain mods to show that it's supported by PlayStation or not supported by PlayStation. So I think they're doing the groundwork. It'll come eventually. Time will tell. Maybe that's their shadow drop in June. They do the Xbox showcase, and Bethesda's thing is like, here's a new cinematic trailer for Elder Scrolls, and here's the PlayStation patch and release for Starfield available today. Maybe they do that. I mean, they could wait till the fall. Maybe they just do it now. Who knows? You know, it has to be done by now, right? Like, it's been a year and a half. What have they been doing otherwise, you know? I don't know. Yay, start the revisionist history. Starfield was always great, not good. Great. People will say it's all the updates and DLC, but now it's coming to PlayStation. The hate is going to evaporate quickly. Honestly, shocked PlayStation getting mods this quick too. Oh, is the implication that people like, the only reason people hated on Starfield was because they were like anti-Xbox? Okay. I mean, it would be funny if like some PlayStation Sony ponies all of a sudden like started loving it, but I think the critiques hold true regardless. Yeah, cope. Yeah, literally, Jimothy. Yeah, literally. Okay, there you go. Close that. Close that. Okay. And God, if Shadows requires ray tracing, how did it get Steam Deck verified? What they said in that article they posted about PC optimization, what they said in that article about Shadows, so this is not like embargo or anything, this is just how the game is. They've talked about this. How it works is if this is the map of the game, you know, there's like all these regions, just like any other game. There's all these regions. Woo, yay. Okay. You know, region 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then there's the little kind of settlement base camp, whatever, that we'll just label 6. What they previously said was ray tracing can be turned off in all of these areas. But I guess this is also technically 7 because this is a sub point of that. But anyway, what they said is you can turn it off in all these zones, but in the settlement, because it is dynamic, because you can change the layout of buildings, you can, you know, place certain objects. Because of all of that, they couldn't do baked lighting the way they could do elsewhere in the game. So in Zone 6, the settlement, they had to leave ray tracing on to do whatever special lighting that makes it look good. And they couldn't turn it off because it had to be dynamic. They couldn't bake anything in. That's what they previously said. So what you'd expect to see is that if your average frame rate was like, I'm just making up numbers, 90 in each of these areas, what you could expect to see is inside the settlement, it might drop to like 45 because they have to ray trace in there, because they can't bake the lighting because you can move stuff around. That's what they previously said. The fact that now they are Steam Deck verified makes me wonder, and I'm saying this because I genuinely don't know. I use an ROG Ally. I don't have a Steam Deck or anything. It makes me wonder if they found a way to turn off ray tracing in the settlement as well. If they found a way to just do some basic, like, typical baked lighting in smaller, I have no idea. I have no idea. Well above my pay grade. But it makes me wonder if they found some way to break this up and to separate it out. Don't go to region 34. Yeah, I guess I did technically make a gigantic region. There you go. Yeah, the rules in section 34 are jarring. Yeah. I would love it if I could turn off ray tracing. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. The fact that they, like, weeks ago were saying we cannot put it on Steam Deck because it is below our minimum requirements. And then they came out a few weeks later and said, nope, we figured it out. Figured it out. You can play on Steam Deck now. Isn't it amazing what happens when you give devs time to polish your game? Stuff starts running well, and it runs well on lower end hardware. Isn't it crazy? Rise of the Ronin. Isn't it crazy how if you just give devs time to polish and you tell them polish it up, refine it, make it run better, they'll figure it out. KCD 2, now Shadows, you know, it's pretty important. And you know, I inevitably you're going to see some people that are still freaking out about it, and still people will, you know, Ubisoft can literally do no right. But I think it's important to give them credit where it is due and hold their feet to the fire when they do something really bafflingly stupid, like releasing 2 NFT games in a month period with I'm not making this up, $260 million microtransactions. Because you could buy and sell your own NFTs, and people were selling them for $250 million. But that's beside the point. That's really bad. We'll tease them and make fun of them for that. But when they get something Steam Deck verified that previously was not, because they polished it and worked on it really hard, that deserves credit. Good job. There you go. You can tell a lot about whether somebody is like an honest interlocutor if they give credit where it's due, or if they refuse to, you know. That's when you can really tell if they're just being, for lack of a better term, a dick, or if they're being genuine, you know. Let's see. Okay, we should finally talk about Atomfall. We should finally talk about it. You've waited long enough. Spencer's been waiting so long. Any updates on Star Citizen? Luke and MS Paint for the win. You're damn right. Star Citizen, they've done a bunch of stuff. I haven't popped into it in a handful of months, but I should go back and see where it's at, because I know they had a couple of big updates. Cynical is the way I like to use it. Yeah, I think it's cynical, but it's also like, it's specifically bad faith when you refuse to engage honestly. You know, like, if I've decided that, what's an example? Oh, the Horizon game. We meme about the Horizon game all the time. I mean, because it's funny and it gets, you know, we like trolling Joe Raptor just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. You know, we do a little trolling. And so we make fun of it. But like, I hope that they nail it. Honestly, after playing Monster Hunter Wilds and seeing how not optimized it was, I was like, you know what? If they can come out with a massive Monster Hunter alternative is a strong word, but a Monster Hunter adjacent game that runs well, is beautiful, is fun. If they can pull that off, I'm all for it, man. I love Monster Hunter as a concept, as a game. And so if they can do something really good in that same kind of genre, I'm all in. Do I think the odds are high that they pull it off? Probably not, given PlayStation's recent track record with live service stuff, but I would love to be proved wrong. I would love it. Again, is it likely? Probably not, but we'll see. I'll give them the chance. I want them to impress me. I want them to wow me. And if they do, I will tell you that they did. But when you see somebody that's like engaging in bad faith, it's the kind of thing where they can do no right. Like they can do no right. Everything is terrible and bad. You know, we joked about and memed on Starfield a lot before it launched. And what I said in my review is still what I say today, which is I think Starfield is like a game. Like it's kind of the quintessential C on a essay, a book report, whatever. Like it's just fine. You know, it's not amazing. It's not fantastic. It's just fine. I expected it to potentially be like downright bad. So they actually impressed me more than I thought they would. But if I was still insistent, no, everything sucks, everything's terrible, then that would kind of tell you that like, okay, we're not actually talking about the game. We're talking about our idea of the game, you know? You just kind of like twist it. Polly, shut up. We all know it's going to flop. Oh, God. I really hope they pull it off because, man, like Joe Raptor was saying, if they don't, man, they're in some trouble because they've got like 400 plus people working on that. And it's like their big thing. They've spent 7 years working on that game. 7. It's insane. They've been working on that game for almost, well, honestly, probably longer than Rockstar was working on GTA 6, if not like just about the same amount of time. That's the amount of time we're talking, okay? So they've got to nail it. I mean, they just have to nail it. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm nervous like a new dad. Dude, however nervous you are for that, I guarantee you, people are sweating within all of PlayStation who are working on live service games. I think they're all sweating after Concord. Like, I spoke to someone. I'll keep it vague. I spoke to someone who is good friends with a developer, a pretty senior developer on an upcoming Sony live service game that probably comes out like next year. And what I was told was that they had like an emergency all hands on deck meeting. They all talked about what happened when Concord flopped catastrophically. Some people, no joke, like started looking for other jobs just as a backup because they were ready for their stuff to get canceled. Like, people lost their minds. Okay. Like, and I don't blame them. I mean, if that was supposed to be a slam dunk, I don't work at PlayStation, but I imagine that there was like talk in the company about, oh yeah, the new game Concord, it's coming. They reveal it. Reception's not great. Oh, but it's gonna be a great game. Okay. Yeah. It's probably gonna be fine. That's gonna be great. And then it drops. It's shut down in 14 days. Bear in mind, this is one of the top comments on the Concord trailer. I didn't know this, but one of the top comments on it is very funny. It said, fun fact, the average lifespan of a housefly is 28 days. Concord survived 14. Like, a fly literally outlived Concord. Okay, that's amazing. But when that type of catastrophic thing happens, you better believe everybody in the company was like, oh my God. Jesus Christ. And they weren't wrong to be worried. That's the thing, is a lot of those studios did end up getting shut down. Blue Point got their project canned. Sony Bend got their project canned. You know, Naughty Dog eventually, I think technically it happened before Concord, but they had their live service game canned as well. So it happens quick. But anyway, all that to say, however nervous you are for the Horizon game, I'm sure they are much more nervous. Especially when, like, a lot of the time a leak happens or you see like concept art, people go, that's badass. What happened with the freaking Last of Us Online concept art? We saw this concept art and we were like, oh, hell yeah. That looks awesome. Dude, we could have a Last of Us level playing co-op, like as an extraction shooter, but like through a cruise ship. That sounds badass. This looks awesome. But when everybody sees that concept art, and if you watch that stream segment, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you saw those leaks of the Michelin Man character in the Horizon Online game, granted that leak is from 2020, but everybody who saw that goes, what the hell are you doing? Everybody. It's the opposite of what you want. It's the opposite. You want, oh, that's cool. What they got was, huh. That's bad. So we'll see. We'll probably see it this summer. Jor thinks we see it this morning, or this summer. Can you imagine if they drop it right now? That would be funny. Okay, enough dilly-dallying. Let's talk about Atomfall real quick. Spencer's been waiting so patiently. 53 nights. Thank you for the 2. We wanted Starfield to be X, but it's Y. Oh my God. WHY. It's Y. Yeah, I did kind of give us all an existential crisis. Let's see. Here we go.
Join me on a violent journey through the English countryside, aka 90 Minutes with Atomfall, the new survival action game from Sniper Elite developer Rebellion. I recently visited a pub in North London, which isn't too odd for me, but managed to get some hands-on playtime with the game there, and came away intrigued by Atomfall's open-ended approach to mission design and eerie tone. I also may have lost my mind and decided to attack everyone I saw, including an old lady who likely didn't deserve it. Let me explain why.
So, in case you're not familiar, Atomfall, upcoming game, it's being compared to old school Fallout. Old school British Fallout. Have I piqued your interest? He just alluded to one thing, which is a staple of old school, like Fallout games, which has since been stripped out. If you remember back in Fallout New Vegas, there's a console command, and if you don't play on PC, all that means is that you tap the like tilde key on your keyboard and then you type in a command and it applies to the whole game. You can use it to like change character levels or toggle God mode, no collision, whatever. There is a command that simply is called kill all. And you could type that in, and all it does is it kills every single NPC in the game. They drop dead. And you can use that console command in like Fallout 4. I believe you can use it in Starfield. You can use it in Fallout New Vegas. But in Fallout 4 and Starfield, there are many characters, usually tied to quest objectives, that are immune from death. You cannot kill them. I mean, you know, like you shoot them, they drop to all fours, breathe heavily, and then they hop up and they're fine. In Fallout New Vegas, you could kill everybody. Like you put in that console command and everybody drops dead and they start, like you just get quest failed for like 15 minutes as every quest in the game is failed because you killed off the quest givers and couldn't complete anything. And I'm not saying that anybody's like doing that for gameplay. The point is to demonstrate that in New Vegas, everybody's fair game. There is no NPC, there is no quest giver that is immune from your insanity. If you want to play as a raving lunatic, or if you go into Good Springs and you're just like, you know what? I don't like these people. I'm going to kill everybody and I'm going to rob them all. You can do that. Your reputation will be poor with them, but you can do that. And they enable you to do that. They empower you to do that. That was something that I think is the fact it was stripped out of later Bethesda games was representative of their kind of watering down of the roleplay experience, because they didn't want to give you the ability to do that because it didn't jive with with their broader design goals, which was to keep players more on a tight track, to try to tell a more compelling narrative. And if you killed the quest giver, you couldn't do that. But my point has always been, if you let players break the game, they will respect the consequences more. Just like if you're playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and if you haven't seen this, you commit a bunch of crimes, you steal from people, you kill NPCs, whatever, you will be arrested by the city guard or whatever. And if you've committed serious enough offenses, they will hold a hanging and hang Henry. And you get a game over screen, you failed, done. And what does that do? It makes the player respect the consequences of their actions way more. They will be more immersed. They'll take their decisions more seriously. And I think players connect with that, especially and specifically, perhaps, role-playing fans. You need to have that. Not every game needs to have that. You know, I'm not saying that Split Fiction or It Takes Two needs to have that type of thing. But for RPGs, I think it is important that you respect the player's choices, whether they do a pacifist Jesus playthrough or they go the opposite and do a hardcore, like, mass murdering psychopath playthrough. I think you should try and support both sides of the coin. It's my opinion. So hearing that Atomfall is enabling players to pursue that same old school methodology and thought process, that gets me excited for this, because it shows that they're building the game anticipating players to do all sorts of crazy shenanigans. And I like that.
Every NPC in Atomfall can be killed, from the lowliest grunt to the most important quest giver. As I sit down to start the demo, I decide that my mission is to test that design. I'll admit that my approach is inelegant. Barely 2 minutes into my exploration of this digital Cumbria, I clumsily activate a tripwire alarm that results in me having to end the lives of 3 alerted guards. I do so with the blunt face of a cricket bat, a hefty chunk of wood that's christened as my murder partner with a liberal splash of claret.
Careful.
I later loot a bow and arrow, and being the glutton for archery in games that I am, I quickly equip it. Now I'm set for long and short range encounters, and so can let Mr. Cricket Bat take a well-earned rest. Nearby I spot a hulking wicker man, towering over me and waiting to be set alight. But I'm not going near that. I've seen how that story ends.
Christ! Oh, Lord!
Unironically, one of my favorite quests from AC Valhalla. If you've not played that, you might not know what I'm referring to, but there's a whole Wicker Man quest in AC Valhalla. It's one of the highlights. Just being honest, being real. Also, do we have Brits in chat? I need to know, from where is this accent, like, originating from? Specifically the, like, THs or Fs. I thought about it. That kind of thing. Where is that accent from? Which area of England? The England part? West London. It's the Courtney accent over there. I don't know why I asked. Over there. It's from over there. Oh man. West Londoners. I had an acting well, not acting, it was a director in a play I did, and there was a character who had a British accent, and the poor girl that was doing it, she did like the Cockney accent, and the director said it made her sound poor and like Jack the Ripper was coming after her. And I thought that was like an aggressive way to correct like a young girl on her accent dialect. It was like, you went 0 to 60 real quick. But I don't know if that's even accurate. Like, did people in Whitechapel speak like that? Maybe. Is it kind of, I don't know if it's racist. It's like dialectist, if that's a thing. Like, you know how in America we all assume like there's this sort of media stereotypical thing where it's like, oh, if you talk with like a southern drawl, you must be like a farmer or a cowboy. That's just the assumption, even though that's not technically true. Like, it's just not. you know, but everybody just kind of assumes it because of the dialect. It's similar to that, where like you assume because they've got the Cockney accent that therefore they're about to get choppered, or whatever you guys say. I don't know. London and England is a fascinatingly silly place. I'm just going to be real with you. Very entertaining.
Sites like this nod to the folk horror undertones that serve as the bedrock for this region of Atomfall's segmented world, which is made up of multiple open zones. It generates a convincingly uneasy atmosphere that only feeds into the larger mystery I'm trying to crack. What exactly happened here in this rural, now irradiated corner of England? But my thoughts about such a mystery are interrupted by a rabble of druids, who presumably have something to do with that Wicker Man. They prove the perfect rangefinders for my newly acquired bow. 1, 2, 3, see you later. The bow
Okay,
feels good
that
to
was-
fire, but I'm more interested
looked like
in
it felt good.
Atomfall's smart approach to stamina. A traditional depleting and regenerating bar is nowhere to be found, instead replaced by a heart rate monitor that increases the more you perform physically taxing actions.
Cardio?
Sprinting for an extended period will push you well over 140 BPM, for example, making it harder for you to aim steadily and accurately if you suddenly have to stop and fight. Later, I found a bow.
Well, dude, that's just cool. I can't think of another game that like tried to reinvent stamina bars. Can you guys think of anything like that? Like, the extent I've seen is that, oh, you depleted your stamina bar, now you gotta wait, catch your breath, and catch up with it. But this is tied to heart rate, and so the longer you're doing sustained physical activities, or like in a fight or running or whatever, it takes more time for it to slow down. So it's not just like you exerted yourself hard, wait 5 seconds, and now you're back to normal. It's like, no, you just sprinted for 5 minutes straight. It's going to take you a couple minutes to calm down and be able to perform normally. That's interesting. Sniper Elite. Oh yeah, well, I mean, they made Sniper Elite, so that's not a shocker. But I mean, in this genre, in this like type of open world adventure type game, I don't know if Sniper Elite even counts as open world adventure. Like, they have large maps, but it's not really an adventure game, you know? Anyway, that's super cool. I like that. That's very interesting.
Mastery skill.
Red Dead, I guess Red Dead with the cores and then the meters around the cores are sort of like that. It's not as like clear cut as this, but I guess you're right. Because the longer you use your stamina, for example, it depletes the core, which limits how much the bar can actually fill up or how quickly it fills up or whatever. So I guess technically, yeah, Red Dead sort of does a slightly altered version of it, but that's interesting.
Manual that unlocks a perk that negates the impact of a heightened heartbeat has on drawing the bowstring back.
Oh, I
It's
like
not
that.
exactly the most exciting perk in history, and a browse through the menu suggests Atomfall doesn't boast the most complex skill tree suite. However, it does seem malleable enough to tailor your character's skills to a gameplay style of your choosing, if for example, you'd prefer to specialise in stealth over gunplay. With my only achievement so far being a bunch of dead druids, you may rightfully be wondering what my overall goal is here. And to an extent, so was I. Aimless exploration of the Casterfall Woods region had yet to unearth anything significant, so I followed my only quest lead, a note pointing me in the direction of a herbalist, Mother Jago, who lives near an old mine. Along the way, I spot allusions to the greater story at play, as a shimmering, oily swirl of blues and purples hovers over a power plant, the apparent cause of Britain's descent into the post-apocalypse. Nearby, a phone box rings and a creepy voice warns me to stay out of the woods.
The woods are dangerous. Be careful.
It's too late for that, mate, but thanks for the call anyway. The path is littered with similar small environmental story touches, such as an old boathouse rigged with an unsettling alarm system, the words "Get Lost" painted across it, a warning the nearby mound of skulls and bones seemingly didn't heed. There's an enjoyably uneasy vibe around every corner of Atomfall, with sleepy leafy forests giving way to creepy zones of terror. Plenty of Fallout comparisons have been made ever since its reveal, but I think Stalker in its recent sequel is a far more apt touchstone, both in terms of tone and game design. Following yet another druid massacre in which I butcher them and loot their garden center.
I mean, I think a Fallout being differentiated in many ways by like the writing and the tone, like the sort of irreverent, silly approach to very serious situations you know, where it's like things are horrible, but you can see this silly, like quirky, cute little cartoon for like your skill up for your like level up. You select it and it shows him like with a pistol blowing off somebody's head in a horribly gory way and then giving a thumbs up. It's that kind of like silly, lighthearted dichotomy that I think really works well for Fallout. And this, I mean, I think a lot of it, excuse me, I think a lot of it could come down to the music too, because Fallout has some amazing music, and there's something about treading through the post-apocalypse with like a kind of lighthearted, kind of upbeat, kind of rocker vibe music. Rocker vibe? What the hell is that? Like Rat Pack, that kind of music. That is so unique to Fallout. I wonder if they're doing something similar with the music here. I wonder if they'll talk about that.
Centre home for herbs, a quick time event, if you will. I meet Mother Jago at her quaint allotment retreat. Dressed in a plum-coloured coat, an animal skull and rose-laden hat, she resembles Angela Lansbury if she'd got big into black magic aromatherapy instead of crime.
Who's Angela Lansbury? Is this like an old Nancy Drew monk kind of show? Is this like an old school detective show? I feel like Murder, She Wrote. I've heard of Murder, She Wrote. I've never watched it. I'm more of a Monk guy. I like Monk. You remember Monk, that show? So good. So good. Psych was good for a bit. Now I go back and I've seen like my parents will watch it and I see Psych episodes and I'm like, I don't know, it's cringier than I remember it being. But Monk still is goated, I think, in my humble opinion.
Solving, but my hopes that she can make Atomfall's opaque mystery any clearer are immediately dashed. She gives only vague answers to my questions, despite exhausting every dialogue option as I dig for clues as to where to go next. This reminds me of classic point-and-click adventures in the way you're encouraged to explore every corner of conversation in search of a hint. Eventually, a door is opened. Jago offers what she promises to be valuable information in exchange for the safe return of her herbalism book.
Nothing worth killing over, you understand?
A book that is, of course, not in a library, but held hostage at the Druid's fortified castle. So, with a new lead in my notebook, I traipse back across the map in search of recipes and the Druid blood protecting it. Atomfall's free-form design means I'm able to approach from any angle, and so I decide to attack the castle from the side. As I make my way there, I encounter another Druid patrol near an abandoned petrol station. The surely soon-to-be considered historic Battle of the Forecourt kicks off as I lob my only grenade into the middle of them. The enemy AI isn't the most reactive, rarely darting for cover or really engaging in any evasive maneuvers, but the satisfying eruption of blood and bits of bone does alert a couple of archers from further down the road. I quickly put a halt to their advance with a nail bomb and then proceed to slalom their arrows, quickly closing the distance so that I can snap one's neck before getting my trusty bat out for another round of head smashing. There's definitely fun to be had playing around with these enemies, but from the small sample I've had so far, I wouldn't go into Atomfall looking for top tier combat. Instead, it seems wise to treat enemy encounters more like a fun sideshow to the main event of discovering the world's secrets. After sniping a couple of axe-wielding
Enemy AI is always so interesting to me as like a point in video games, because for some games it's like a make or break. If you have bad AI, it can ruin so many different things. And for certain types of games, I think it's more noticeable than others. And then I also think it's tied to the type of like encounters, you know? Like with Star Wars Outlaws, at launch it had really bad AI. What I recommended in my review was if you're going to play it at launch, play it with the difficulty cranked out the ass. Like crank the difficulty super high so that if you're like stealthing and they do notice you, like you've got to deal with the problem instantly. Otherwise they can like two-shot you. Because then, you know, you don't really have time to notice how stupid the AI is. It just kind of forces you forward in the gameplay. And that's a technique that I think a lot of studios use. If they don't have great AI, they set up environments or they set up encounters in ways that make it harder to notice how stupid enemies are. You know, put 5 of them in a small room. There's nowhere for them to hide, so you won't notice that they're not hiding, you know, that type of thing. And I think with a game like this, encouraging slower, more tactical gameplay, it could be way more noticeable if NPCs are really, really stupid. I could totally see that, you know. Yeah, Division 2 AI is fantastic. Yeah, there are certain games that absolutely nail it. I appreciate when you have a range, you know, if you've got like a more approachable AI for people that want to be able to go through the game and have an easier time. I tend to like much more realistic AI. The problem is realistic AI doesn't always mean fun AI, you know? Like right here, this guard down here and this guy up here should be able to see the player. You're hiding behind a rock, not that far away in broad daylight. Yeah, you're in a shadow, but like it's the middle of the day. They should be able to see you. But if you're playing a video game and you hide behind this rock, your expectation is basically that you're probably safe. But if they noticed you, then they both alert. All of a sudden, your stealth, like your cover's blown. That might not feel fun. It may be realistic, but it may not be fun. So it's always a balancing act. And I think the easiest way out of it is to just give 2 options: a dumbed down AI version and a really cranked up version of the AI for people that like the challenge and like having to think, oh, they're going to see me if I stand right here. So let me go around the side of this house, around the back, take out this guy after throwing a rock to distract him. And then I'm going to throw something over here to distract the guard up here while I climb up the ladder and jump him. Make the player think about that. But so, not everybody loves that. So just make 2 versions, 2 options, you know, dial back the intelligence.
Brutes, I make it inside the castle's outer walls. There, I stumble across a locked hut. A note printed with a set of map coordinates pinned to its door suggests that the keys are far away to the southeast. Atomfall doesn't believe in objective markers, instead leaving it up to you to study your map and place down markers on points of interest yourself. Could this locked hut be where the book is hidden? Do I need to go on a quest for this key? My hunch tells me no, and I instead walk up to the central keep's big front doors. Once inside, I find a few more druids to club, but no sign of the book. I hunt around its dank hallways, finding nothing but cloth and alcohol to craft healing bandages with. I spend a good 10 minutes searching every corner, but no luck. It's a further example of Atomfall's obtuse approach to mission design. You won't have your hand held here, and the book won't glow gold with a big pick-me-up sign attached. While it can lead to moments of frustration, I find myself ultimately encouraged by Rebellion's approach to make something that challenges the player and sticks stubbornly to its explorative, almost detective-like vision. So,
I love that, but I also totally understand why some people would hate it, you know? But I respect the fact that they're not trying to appeal to everybody, you know? I think like KCD2 is a great example of this, where it has a few game systems which are not that approachable. Like they are not mass market kind of design choices. You know, chief among them being things like the save system, requiring you to have save your schnapps to actually save while you're out and about, or you have to go to a bed and sleep. Yes, technically you can just like save scum by save and exiting. You can technically do that, but that's not recommended. But like, I respect the fact that they designed it in a way where they want you to constantly be thinking, I've got to go find a place to sleep. I've got to go find a place to stay. Okay, I'm going to go do this quest, but then I'm going to be exhausted. So I need to go back over here. And while I'm there, I'm going to buy a pretzel from the baker. Like they want you to think about it that way. And so they designed the game in a way that encouraged you to play it in that way. And I think, you know, the first few hours, it might be really jarring or frustrating if you just got off of like AC Valhalla, which is kind of the opposite. It's designed to be played in sort of a lighthearted, half paying attention kind of way. But once it clicks with you, oh my God. KCD2, once it clicks with you, is like, oh, it's so good. So good. Oh my God, I love it.
With the book nowhere in sight, I decide to follow the paper trail and head to those map coordinates in search of the keys I previously read about. Perhaps this would unlock my path forward. The coordinates led me into the den of a poison plant monster thing that seems to boil my brain if I spend too long near it. Rifle bullets make minimal impact, and there's little I can do to prevent my quick death. I reload my save and use my Skyrim bunny hopping muscle memory to bypass the beast, leaping down a rock face to collect the keys from one of the creature's earlier victims.
That's one of those moments where I'm like, you think the devs expected you to do that? There's probably something where like, oh, you need to craft a Molotov and chuck it at the plant and then it burns it up. That's probably what you're supposed to do. But that old school Skyrim bunny hop up the side of a cliff, or like, you remember in Skyrim when you would like do the weird zigzag run up the steep cliff? And it literally is like, you know, this steep. You should not be able to climb up it. But if you just run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, you can get up eventually. Oh, those were the days, man. Those were the days.
I then head back to the hut where I find a shiny new perk point and a smattering of ammo. As you'll no doubt be aware, none of these items resemble the herbalism book that I'm trying to find. Forlorn and slightly lost, I venture under the castle and deep into its bowels, where the druids concoct their rituals and chemical-fueled practices. I kill the High Priestess and about a dozen of her lackeys, find an SMG, a recipe for crafting poison bombs, and an atomic battery, which seemingly opens up a whole new questline that I simply don't have time to look into before my demo time runs out.
You will require more atomic batteries. You will require them for the interchange.
Again, the observant among you will notice that none of these items are the book I'm looking for. After my play session ends, I'm told the book was in the castle, just lying on a table I must have walked past several times. Before that revelation though, I start to believe the book simply does not exist, that it is a ruse, a lie. I decide to go back to the herbalist and see if she has anything to say for herself. She doesn't, of course, because the book is...
Dude, I've always thought of this, and if I, you know, get around to making my own full game, I've got design docs I've written up and stuff, but, you know, obviously I haven't really had the time to do it. But one of the ideas I have found that's so interesting to me, that would piss off so many people, but I think it could be so interesting, is if characters within the game openly lied to the player. Because it's kind of an understood thing that NPCs will tell you the truth. Or if they're going to lie to you, there will be some indication that they're lying to you, you know? And isn't it kind of funny to think that like, oh no, the NPC, like she could just totally lie to you and be like, yeah, there's this book I need. When in reality, she just wants you to maybe go in there, either kill the extremists so that she can, or whatever he called them, druids, and then she can go in there and collect loot and stuff, or, you know, you die, no sweat off her back, she's fine, whatever. One less person to bug her. And she doesn't tell you that because she doesn't need to tell you that, but she just lies to you and there's no book or anything. I think it could be really funny and also like really frustrating at the same time. But once you have that first moment where you realize an NPC lied to me, imagine how that cascades down, how that affects all the other stuff you do while you're playing. Next time you get a quest from somebody and they tell you, okay, I will help you, but I need you to go and I need you to save my buddy who's been captured by these bandits over here. You pause and you wonder, is he actually going to help me? Does he actually have a buddy that's trapped there? Is this a trap? Is he just going to jump me with he's going to get his buddy and go meet me at the place where he told me to go, but this time with a bunch of his friends, and they're going to try to attack me once my guard is down? You know, it'll lead to cascading things that heighten your senses. It's one of the reasons, hold on, I still have this pulled up. Slight spoiler for The Last of Us Part 2, okay? I had this from last week. Slight spoiler. I'll take it off screen when we're done, okay? There's a moment